everyone, thanks for tuning in to today's video. Today we're going to be going over a guide to powerlifting. What goes into a meet, what goes into winning a competition, and how do you decide who wins. This is a video that you could definitely show to your relatives during Thanksgiving when they're proud of you. Oh, I see you're bodybuilding nowadays. Well, not actually. We're trying to get strong, not get swole. So maybe a little swole, but not too much. Powerlifting is widely known today as a competition to see who has the largest combined squat, bench, and deadlift based on weight. The deep roots of powerlifting are set in the origins of strength training in antiquity as a form of sport and a rite of passage in many cultures. In modern times, lifting weights for sports originated at the original Olympic Games in the form of weightlifting, where contestants competed for the max weight combined in the clean and press and the snatch. It wasn't until the 1950s that competitors that had limitations in competing competitively in the Olympic lifts began hosting competition for quote-unquote auto lifts, which included the bicep curl, bench press, squat, and deadlift. Standardized by York barbell owner Bob Hoffman, the first national championship in powerlifting was hosted in 1964, where competitors competed in the bench, squat, and deadlift, in that order. Over the next several years, popularity grew both within the United States and Great Britain, and the first World Championship was held at the home of York Barbell in 1971. At this point, there was no supportive equipment or belts. All weights were pounds, and there was a rising bar in competition. If you're familiar with the rising bar, it's the same that you'll see in a weightlifting competition where instead of changing weights for each competitor, the weight of the bar is increased by even increments where competitors can decide to take an attempt at a given weight or not. In 1973, the IPF, or International Powerlifting Federation, was formed to create a governing body for all powerlifting and establishing world records. It was only then when lifts were set up in their current order of squat, bench, and deadlift. In the upcoming decades, there were major divisions within powerlifting which split its competitors into different federations based on their competition goals. Equipped or non-equipped, drug tested or tested, monolift or no monolift. Even with these parties, there are divisions within divisions. Today, raw powerlifting is the most popular version of the sport in most countries. Raw lifting creates a low barrier to entry since there are no equipment requirements to be able to go and compete for anyone who lifts at a normal gym. All you'd have to do is find a singlet and some long socks, and you'd be all set to go. Most lifters also choose to wear neoprene knee sleeves, lifters, wrist straps, belts, and flats for deadlifting. So meet days are kind of set up like this. First, you want to get to the meet and double check you have all your equipment. You're not losing anything before you even get there. Second, you want to get checked in and make sure all your equipment is up to comp standards and that you can actually lift in it. And then third is to get weighed in. And some federations have this happening 2 hours before the meet, which is what the USAPL is, or 24 hours before meet in some federations. Here's an example of what a powerlifting meet could look like. In this example, we're going to be lifting here at Cal's Power Shack, where the gains are made. We have 60 competitors. We're going to be split up into 2 sessions. We have a morning session, which is going to be session A, and we're going to have an afternoon session, which is going to be session B. Within those sessions, we're going to break those in half into 2 15-member flights. All competitors in Flight 1 take all 3 attempts in the squat in the order from least to most weight attempted. So if you were the strongest in Flight 1, you'd be lifting at the end of the flight. Once Flight 1 completes all their squat attempts, then they go back and rest and get ready for bench while Flight 2 starts their squats. After which Flight 1 completes their bench, and then so on and so forth. Flights are arranged to try to keep all people in the same weight classes competing against one another so they know which weights they need to beat to win their class. In the USAPL, weight classes go from 52 kilograms to over 140. And within those weight classes, there's also age brackets. So we got anywhere from a teen to a master with a bunch of divisions in between to make sure that everyone is lifting against people in the same phase of life as them. You don't want a person in their 20s lifting against someone in their 70s, trying to keep it a fair competition as much as possible. Now, in order to win your class, you are only competing against people in the same weight class and age class as you. So someone who is lifting, say, in the Teen 3 category at 100-kilo body weight would only be competing against those in the same weight and age category. Same could be said for someone who is lifting in the open class in the 67.5-kilo class. So they'd only be competing against someone who weighs the same and is the same age. A majority of federations lift out of a combo rack for squat and bench, while removing the rack for deadlift. The competition floor is generally made out of an outdoor-style carpet that's really short and doesn't collapse under the weight being lifted. There are 3 judges that decide whether or not your lift is to comp standard. There's 1 head judge that stands directly in front of the lifter, and then 2 judges on either side of the lifter. Here's an overview of all 3 lifts in competition. Here's a video of me at my last competition here last December, in setup for my first squat attempt. In competition, once the spotters load the bar with the correct weight, the head judge will yell, "Bar is loaded," at which point you have 1 minute to complete the lift. Once you unrack the barbell in a squat, you must come to a complete standstill, in which time the head judge will yell, "Start." Once he does so, you can then start your lift. In the squat, your hip crease must break parallel with your knee before you stand the bar up. Once you stand it up, you then get a rack command from the head judge, at which time you can rack the bar. If you can't squat the weight up, or you get red lighted for not adhering to the calls, then you fail the lift. In the bench, you start by unracking the weight and holding it right above your chest. Once it stops moving, the head judge will yell, "Start," at which case you can bring the bar to your chest and make sure it stops at a complete standstill. Once it completely stops, the judge will yell, "Press," in which you press the bar above your chest, bring it to a standstill, and then they'll yell "rack," where you rack the weight. In the deadlift, all that must be done is bring the bar from the ground to your hips. The only rules are there's no ramping up your quads or dragging it up your quads, and there's no hitching, so no down and up motion. You must bring the bar from the ground all the way to your hips with no hitching or wedging in between. In powerlifting, the judges use lights to signify whether or not they think a lift was good or no good. 3 white lights is the best you can get in which every judge thinks it was a good lift. 2 out of 3 still signifies a good lift, but 1 judge thinks you should have failed. 2 out of 3 is a no good lift, and then 3 out of 3 is obviously a failed lift that does not count towards your total. While there are many different powerlifting federations in America, such as the APA, IPL, NAPF, USPA, or PA, the most popular choice for raw lifting is the USAPL. Within the USAPL, there are 12 weight classes for males and 11 weight classes for females. For males, the weight classes start at 52 kilograms and go above 140 kilograms. For females, the weight classes start at 44 kilos and go up above 100. Additionally, there are age categories that help confine lifters to lifting against people in similar phases of life, including teens, juniors, open, and masters. During a powerlifting meet, an athlete is aiming to achieve the highest total within their respective age and weight class. When someone obtains a total that's highest out of anyone in their age and weight class, they end up winning their class. And what this looks like is they just get a shout out at the end of the meet, get a medal, get a picture taken, and they go back and next class is up to get their award. In order to win the entire meet, an athlete must score the highest DOTS score. The DOTS is a coefficient in which their body weight and the total that they perform is put into a calculator, and what's spit out on the other side is their score. The higher the dot score, the better. At the end of the meet, all the dot scores are calculated, and whoever has the highest score wins the overall meet. This generally culminates in a cash prize, a commemorative axe or sword or other kind of weapon, or a big banner. That's going to wrap up today's video. Thanks for everyone for watching. Just some updates for future content. Next week, we're going to be posting a meet recap of the meet I'm doing this weekend in Moscow. It's just going to be a local meet. It's not affiliated, no singlets, pound plates, no power bars, no combo racks. Just show up and lift. I'm looking to put some decent numbers up, somewhere in the mid 1500s, probably a 585, 385, 585, somewhere in there, squat, bench, deadlift. Looking forward to competing in that. One of my friends from high school is going to be doing his first meet there, which is exciting. I'm excited to experience that with him. In the future, I plan on doing more of these informative videos, the bird's eye view videos of different strength sports. So I'm probably going to be doing one of these a month. And I'd love to hear what sports you would like to hear me talk about down below, whether it be Olympic weightlifting, strongman, Highland Games, any of those sports. I'd love to cover in a similar form video to this. So let me know which ones you guys want to hear, and I'll see you next week. Peace.